How to obtain as much food as possible when you only have a garden plot of less than 100 square meters. One of the most popular methods is applying the food forest model. This is a model built with a 7-layer structure, in which the large canopy layer protects the lower layers. The herbaceous layer nourishes the soil, and the climbing layer takes advantage of height. In today's video, I will guide you in detail on how to plan and build a 7-layer food forest from zero right in your small suburban backyard. Every week, I share grounded insights on organic gardening and intentional living. Hit subscribe to ensure you're getting authentic, earth-first advice you can actually trust straight to your feed. Before embarking on your planting journey, observe this general model. You will see an ecosystem that does not develop on a flat plane, but rather grows vertically. We have the canopy layer at the very top, descending to the shrub layer, weaving through the herbaceous layer, blanketing the ground with the ground cover layer, penetrating deep into the rhizosphere, and finally, maximizing space with the vertical layer. Understanding this model is the key to ensuring you never waste a single square centimeter. Now, let's dive deep into the roof of this ecosystem with me. Layer 1, the canopy layer. This is the first and most crucial layer that determines the structure of the entire garden. In a small suburban space, selecting canopy trees is a problem requiring careful calculation because you cannot plant a giant oak. Instead, we choose large woody fruit trees. For the climate of northern and central Europe, where winters are long and sunlight is scarce, ancient apple or pear trees are the top choice thanks to their excellent frost resistance. In southern Europe, such as Spain or Italy, this layer could consist of pistachio or olive trees, which provide high economic value and possess great drought tolerance. Regarding planting techniques, you should never place canopy trees in the middle of the garden if the area is too small, because their shade will overshadow and weaken the lower layers. Instead, place them on the north side of the plot, so that as the sun moves from east to west, the tree's shadow falls outside the fence or onto the path. The planting distance needs to be calculated based on the canopy spread when the tree reaches maturity after 10 years, and you should not plant too densely to ensure ventilation, which helps prevent fungal diseases in humid climates. The canopy layer acts as a natural thermostat that regulates the microclimate, cooling the ground in summer and blocking biting winds in winter. At the same time, large woody trees with taproots penetrating meters deep serve as a nutrient pumping system, bringing minerals leached deep underground up to nourish the leaves, only to return them to the topsoil when the leaves fall. This is also the sanctuary for birds of prey and beneficial insects that help protect the garden without the need for pesticides. Directly beneath the shade of the large trees, we will arrange the understory layer consisting of shorter woody trees, typically ranging from 3 to 5 meters in height. Climate differences in this layer are clearly manifested through the choice of varieties. If you are in a cold region, choose dwarf plum or peach varieties as they require the protection of the upper canopy to avoid direct cold winds. While in Mediterranean regions, this is the perfect location for citrus trees like lemons or oranges. A small but extremely important note is that if you grow temperature-sensitive plants in temperate zones, consider planting them in large pots or placing them in heat traps so the plants can survive sub-zero winters. The understory layer acts as a buffer that reduces wind speed and maintains humidity for the lower layers, while also serving as a place where birds come to nest to support natural pest control. Plants in this layer are selected to photosynthesize effectively, even when receiving only moderate amounts of light, helping to maximize total yield on the same area. The skillful combination of the first and second layers helps you have a continuous fruit harvest from midsummer until late autumn and creates a mid-level windbreak that protects delicate berry bushes in the lower layer from being crushed. Proceeding to the third layer is the low shrub layer, which houses the sweet berries often most favored by young children. In temperate climates like England, France, or Germany, you cannot overlook raspberries, black currants, or blueberries. These plants do not require excessive, intense sunlight, but rather prefer the gentle light filtering through the gaps in the leaves of the upper layers. Additionally, a silent hero in this layer is the pigeon pea or other shrubby legumes, thanks to their ability to take nitrogen from the air and deposit it into the soil through their root systems. forming a free natural fertilizer factory for the entire forest. In arid southern regions, large sagebrush can also be categorized into this layer to both create a scent that repels insects and provide a harvest of medicinal herbs. Planting the shrub layer helps the family access precious sources of vitamins at nearly zero cost. The nodules on the roots of legumes convert nitrogen into an easily absorbable form of fertilizer, while the vigorously developing fibrous root systems help prevent weed invasion and keep the soil consistently loose and aerated. You only need to note to prune regularly to ensure air circulation, avoiding root rot due to excessively high moisture accumulation. Next is the herbaceous layer, a vital plant layer comprising leafy greens and perennial herbs. You should utilize rhubarb or comfrey because they not only provide a harvest, but also excel at soil improvement. In particular, comfrey has a root system that reaches deep into the subsoil to draw minerals up to its leaves, which then become an excellent green manure when they fall. If you are in southern Europe, plant rosemary and lavender as they are not only drought tolerant, but also emit a fragrant scent to attract bees and butterflies for pollination, doubling the fruiting rate for the upper layers. The intense aroma from these herbs also releases natural compounds that disorient many pests, effectively protecting the surrounding leafy vegetables. This is the layer that provides your family with relaxing herbal teas and daily cooking spices that help boost the immune system for the whole household. Right at the ground level is the ground cover layer, which serves as a protective skin for the soil against negative environmental impacts. Instead of allowing wild weeds to grow and deplete nutrients, we plant ground-hugging plants such as wild strawberries for cold regions or sweet potatoes for warmer areas. This ground cover layer acts as a living mulch, preventing ultraviolet rays from hitting the soil directly and keeping the earth moist and cool even during the sweltering summer. Consequently, you can reduce the required irrigation water by up to 70% because moisture is retained beneath the green canopy. By occupying the ground space first, these cover plants prevent weed seeds from germinating, meaning you will almost never have to weed once the forest has stabilized. This is also an ideal home for beneficial insects like ladybugs or spiders, while creating an excellent environment for symbiotic fungal networks to thrive and transport water and nutrients between plants in the garden. Beneath the surface of the ground we have just traversed lies another fascinating world, known as the root layer. This is where we maximize vertical space to ensure not a single centimeter goes to waste. Many people believe the shade under tree canopies is uncultivable land, but for taro, ginger, and turmeric, it is a paradise for accumulating starch. However, since ginger and turmeric are tropical plants, if you are in Northern Europe, the advice is to grow them in fabric bags to easily move them into the greenhouse when winter arrives. A more cold-hardy and native option for you would be garlic, onions, or horseradish, plants that serve not only as spices, but also as natural antibiotics that help repel harmful soil nematodes. Harvesting at this layer also helps us periodically loosen the soil, allowing oxygen to seep deep below and helping the microbial system thrive. These roots also excrete antibacterial substances that help destroy root rot fungi, ensuring the underground defense line remains steadfast. Finally, there is the vertical layer, the secret weapon that significantly boosts productivity for suburban gardens which typically have modest areas. When the ground is fully occupied, we begin to move upward by utilizing garden fences or the trunks of large trees as trellises for grapes, kiwi, or climbing bean varieties to grow. In southern Europe, passion fruit and loofah are excellent choices because they provide green coverage very quickly, creating a refreshing natural wall in just one season. In colder regions, you can choose hops or cold-hardy kiwi varieties to obtain both food and landscaping. The vertical layer does not take up ground space, yet brings back significant additional yield on the same square meter of land already planted with other crops. They also act as a natural insulation layer for your home, blocking dust from the street and creating absolute privacy for the family. After 3 to 5 years of persistence, your 100 square meter garden will no longer be a mere plot of land for planting trees, but will instead become a self-sustaining food production system. The results you receive will far exceed anything you can imagine. Instead of harvesting only a single layer of vegetables on the surface, you will harvest multi-dimensionally. While the canopy layer yields apples and pears, the shrub layer provides raspberries, and the climbing layer offers grapes, you still have potatoes and garlic growing beneath the soil. The total volume of food produced per square meter can be 4 to 5 times higher than that of traditional farming. You will gain much more than just starch or fiber. This ecosystem provides everything from the vitamins in fruits and minerals, in herbs, to the protein in legumes, and the natural antibiotics found in onions, garlic, and ginger. Your family's meals will become seasonally abundant without depending on supermarket supply chains. Once the system stabilizes, the fallen leaves from the canopy and shrub layers, combined with the pruning of the herbaceous layer, will create a dense organic mulch. As this mulch decomposes, it returns nutrients to the soil, helping you cut chemical fertilizer costs by up to 90%. You will feel a distinct difference the moment you step into the garden. The temperature within a 7-layer food forest is typically 3 degrees Celsius to 5 degrees Celsius lower than the outside environment during summer, thanks to evapotranspiration and multi-layered shading. Conversely, in winter, the dense layers of vegetation act as insulating walls, keeping the soil warm and protecting sensitive plants. The 7-layer food forest model is applicable across many parts of the world, yet there is no one-size-fits-all formula. Its operation changes entirely based on the climate and natural conditions of the site. In favorable regions like the humid tropics, the system thrives rapidly due to year-round growth and a continuous nutrient cycle, allowing for almost uninterrupted harvest. Conversely, in temperate zones, the food forest operates on a dormancy awakening cycle, utilizing the cold season to control pests and optimize crop quality. However, in harsh environments, you cannot apply the 7-layer model in its original form and must make adjustments. Areas with strong winds or coastal locations require windbreak systems to create a stable microclimate. Arid regions must prioritize water retention and may even need to reduce the number of layers to avoid overtaxing resources. Meanwhile, in places with waterlogged or shallow soil, topographical modifications such as raised beds or mounds are mandatory to protect the root systems. Of course, every endeavor comes with its own set of difficulties, and you will inevitably face challenges once you begin. The first hurdle is time, as this is not the kind of vegetable garden where you can harvest within 30 days. Larger layers, such as fruit trees or shrubs, require at least 2 to 3 years to start bearing fruit. This demands patience and a short term to support the long-term strategy, such as intercropping short-cycle vegetables, to maintain a food source while waiting for the system to mature. Next is the issue of pests and diseases during the initial phase. When the ecosystem is not yet stable, typically during the first 1 to 2 years, pests may appear in abundance because natural predators have not had time to establish themselves. This is the stage where you are most likely to feel discouraged. However, if you rush to use chemical pesticides, you risk destroying the entire natural balance you are trying to build. Another challenge lies in the knowledge required. You need a deep understanding of each plant variety, such as which ones prefer acidic soil, which ones are heavy feeders, and which ones should not be planted near each other. This cannot be mastered all at once. It is a continuous process of observation, experimentation, and adjustment. Finally, there is the complexity of harvesting. When the layers of vegetation are intertwined, you cannot use machinery or work as quickly and simply as in a traditional garden. Almost everything must be done by hand, slower and more meticulously. There will be moments of inconvenience, such as having to weave through dense thickets just to harvest a few root crops. To prevent this model from turning into a tangled mess, and to help you stay focused despite practical challenges, mastering its operational principles is essential. First and foremost, to solve the challenge of using the short term to sustain the long term and to compensate for an initial lack of knowledge, you must spend time carefully observing seasonal light patterns to arrange plants according to the right plant, right place principle. Positioning sun-loving species in well-lit areas while utilizing shade for lower-tier plants not only ensures the healthiest growth, but also shortens the waiting period and minimizes errors during the experimental phase. Especially in a limited space of 100 square meters, regular pruning should be viewed as a survival tactic rather than just a cosmetic task. By controlling the height of fruit trees, you ensure that light still reaches the lower layers, allowing short-term vegetables to thrive and provide a continuous food supply while waiting for the larger trees to bear fruit. Simultaneously, the most effective solution for mitigating pest pressure and balancing the ecosystem in the early years is to prioritize native plant varieties. Thanks to their strong natural resistance and high adaptability, these plants will reduce your maintenance workload, thereby preventing the urge to use chemicals that could destroy the natural balance. Beyond managing the canopy layers, operational convenience must be carefully calculated through the design of a logical internal traffic system. Fixed pathways covered in wood chips or stepping stones winding through the plant layers will allow you to access every corner for meticulous harvesting without compacting the soil or harming the microbial ecosystem. Finally, do not forget that competition in a multi-layered garden also occurs silently underground. Using root barriers or maintaining proper spacing for species with aggressive root systems ensures that herbs and small vegetables are not overwhelmed, giving each layer enough nutrients to grow sustainably without requiring excessive intervention. In addition to the 7-layer food forest model, you can entirely build a food forest with only 3 layers. This structure is particularly ideal for beginners or those with limited land. Leave a comment if you would like me to introduce this 3-layer structure. Building a 7-layer food forest from scratch is not something that can be completed instantly, but rather a journey of patient observation and interaction with nature. Perhaps in the first year, you will encounter some difficulties with weather or pests. But every layer of trees you plant is a significant step forward toward food sovereignty and environmental sustainability. Always keep in mind the rule of choosing the right plant for the right place to suit the local climate. This garden not only provides you with the cleanest produce, but also nourishes the soul with its lush, green beauty and vibrant life every day. Thank you for watching the entire video. If you find it helpful, please share it with those around you. See you in the next videos.